My name is Ken Evans. I'm the Managing Director of the Accelerator Program at the Tampa Bay Innovation Center. And I'm going to let Chris Paradise, the chairman of the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, get things kicked off here. And I'll come back in a little bit later to introduce the panelists and our presenting companies for the day.
I'm here to welcome you all and give a big congratulations to our latest cohort. They've done a great job. Ken has told me so much about you all, and I've had a chance to interact with you, at least on the IP portion, and a few of you, others of you offline. And it's a very exciting time for all these companies, and they're doing a great job at getting up and running and getting their minimally viable product into the hands of their particular B2B customers. I want to also give a strong round of applause for the Innovation Center for putting this cohort together and running this accelerator program, and our sponsors. We will have a slide that talks about the sponsors, but right now you get to see a big image of me and a little image of me. So very happy to have those sponsors and to have them working with our cohort to get them to the next level and grow these companies in the Tampa Bay region and in Florida. And with that, I will pass it back to Ken Evans. And if there are any questions, let us know. We can try and do that organically and answer your questions as we go. There are some questions for you, Ken, if you're seeing those on the chat.
I haven't gotten to those yet. I will get to those in a second.
And a few digs at you too, Ken.
Of course. Well, all from friends, I hope. Yes. Anyway. At this point, I'd like to welcome Tanya back to the stage to give us a quick update on Tampa Bay Innovation Center. A lot of exciting things have been happening this year. A lot of exciting things are yet to come over the next year to 2 years as we grow and expand. So I'd like to turn over the stage to Tanya for that update.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm not sure you guys can see me, but I'm not sure. We're just going with what we can do today. First of all, welcome. We're very excited to have you join us today for the Fall Accelerator Showcase. This really does provide an opportunity for companies to share their businesses, kind of share what they learned during the program, and then get connected to potential customers as well as potential investors as they continue to grow their companies. We're also thrilled that we have 3 of our previous graduates that will be wrapping up the session today. One from each of the previous 3 cohorts, and they will be providing an update of their entrepreneurial journey as well as their successes. And with that, I'd like to see if I can find her. I want to introduce Dr. Cynthia Johnson with Pinellas County Economic Development, but let me make sure I can get her online here. Dr. Johnson has been a friend and a partner for 20 years. With Pinellas County Economic Development, and I am not finding her on the list. Is she part of the program there with you, Ken, by any chance?
Hi, Tanya. I am.
Oh, you are? Okay, great. I couldn't find you. Great.
There we go. Okay.
All right, thank you. And for more than 20 years, she has served as the director for business development, and where she has assisted small and large businesses and championed entrepreneurship. She has worked closely with our team here at the Tampa Bay Innovation Center on the Business Incubator Program during our 18 years of operation. And more recently, Dr. Johnson has been very instrumental in partnering with us with Pinellas County, the City of St. Pete, and ARC Investment Management on our new 45,000 square foot facility being built in the St. Pete Innovation District. And that new building, as you may have read, will be called the ARC Innovation Center. So, Dr. Johnson, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Tanya, and thank you for the invitation. I don't know if you're supposed to see my picture or just hear my voice, but hopefully you can hear my voice at least. First of all, I want to say congratulations to all of the participants in the B2B Accelerator this year. As we create the innovation hub of the US, that's what Tanya and I are going to do downtown St. Pete. So I hope everybody is ready. But as we create the innovation hub for the US in making sure that we have support systems in place to help our innovators, such as all of you, be successful. So being a part of this year's Innovation Showcase really demonstrates that your commitment to not only being innovative, but being a business leader in our community as we try to ensure that we have a diversified innovation business community that supports entrepreneurship and growth in our community. As you go through this process, I want you all to know that, as Tanya has shared, we partnered with TBIC. We have partnered with TBIC over probably the last 20 years in some form or fashion. And what you need to know that's so excellent about this partnership and what you all have signed up for is that you're not only going to have business support as you develop your innovation and concept, but you're going to have support as you grow into an industry that is creating jobs for our local citizens. So as you develop your innovation, your concept, and bring your product or service to the marketplace, I want you to know that Pinellas County Economic Development supports what you do. And we want to make sure that you know that we're on your team. Innovation is really the leading solution to all of the issues and all of the opportunities that we're going to face in our economy. And what you all are doing is exactly what we want to cultivate, support, encourage, and showcase. So thank you all so much for this opportunity to meet you virtually. And I look forward to meeting each of you personally. And more important, I look forward to hearing more about the innovations that you all come up with as you take this journey to go through the accelerator and build your business based on solid principles, resources, and a foundation that can be sustainable. So thank you so much again for the invitation, and know that Pinellas County Economic Development supports you as you go through this process. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Johnson, and thank you for joining us and for your ongoing support of the program over the many years. It really has been helpful, and as we go into the next couple of years, I think you'll be very, very proud of what the center can accomplish and the companies and the founders that run through this program as we expand our programs, as we expand into the new facility. I just think there's a great accelerator of our economy coming forward in the next couple of years. So thank you for all your support.
Absolutely, Ken.
Good seeing you again. So with that, let's get into the program and let's talk a little bit about the support we've had from the rest of the community. I'd like to thank our platinum sponsor, obviously, Pinellas County Economic Development, for making this program and all of our programs possible. Our strategic sponsor for this cohort and for the companies going through the program, Tampa Bay Ventures, and Andreas will be joining us a little bit later, hopefully as a panelist. Our media partner, Capital Analytics Associates, and the other community partners that have helped us throughout the program, as well as helping promote the program and past cohorts, future cohorts, and really helping the deal flow in the Tampa Bay region, bring companies to raise the visibility of our program with companies that are going through these early stages, that need the help of an accelerator program, that need the peer-to-peer support that we provide, and that can really benefit from hearing from all the subject matter experts that we bring through the program. So I'd like to thank all of the partners that have helped us out in making that happen, including the Florida Venture Forum, Embark Collective, the St. Pete Innovation District, the Downtown Partnership, St. Pete EDC, and of course, the city of St. Petersburg, where we all reside. With that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the program and about what I've put these founders through for the past 12 weeks. I appreciate everyone attending and getting a flavor of what our program is all about. I hope that some of the people in the audience will look at this and say, that would be helpful to me in the future, or could at least recommend it to friends. It really is word of mouth that helps us out so significantly in bringing better and better companies into the program and really helping us grow our tech ecosystem. So with that, over the past 12 weeks, we've had a program which has been divided into 4 main pillars. That is product, operations, leadership, and of course, revenue. After all, a startup without the ability to attract revenue on a sustainable basis is really just a time and money consuming hobby. And we don't want that. We want people to be growing businesses, to be expanding the breadth and depth of the people that they can employ in the tech talents with high skilled labor and high skilled capabilities in the area. So we want those startups to grow. We don't want them just to be a couple of people working on something endlessly and never launching a product. We want to see new products in the marketplace that can be purchased by local companies, but also global companies, and have a global reach over the innovations that they're helping companies develop. So unlike a lot of startup programs, we don't spend a lot of time focused on raising outside capital or courting VCs or doing pitches and things like that. Instead, we direct our efforts toward the founders finding their product market fit. Experience and tons of research shows us that if they do those things right, if they build a product that people actually want, that actually satisfies demand in the marketplace, the press, the coverage, the awards, even the investor capital, all of that follows on as the company grows and as they scale, and as their company's product does the work for them and helping them, market the image of what they're doing and the problems they solve. So I'll be the first to admit that there is a disproportionate amount of time in our program spent on things like user research, concepts around design thinking, the concept of building in public and making the community part of the growth of your company. All that goes to making sure that our founders don't just have an idea which appeals to them, but they actually have an idea that can be turned into a product, that can be turned into a business that then appeals to the actual end users and the customers for that product. And that is really the goal of our program all the way through. Having these founders constantly talking to users, talking to potential users, and making sure that they're solving a problem. And they're not just bringing technology to market for technology's sake. And that's the one big differentiator between the companies that survive and the companies that sit there and stagnate or go out of business. So we have a hyper focus on making sure that our founders are always answering that question: who cares? Why does this matter? Why would someone hire this product to do a job for them? And if they can do those things and articulate that to the marketplace, they have a better than 50-50 chance of actually making it. So there are 6 companies that have endured 12 weeks of me going through this program. And I'd like to thank those companies, most of all, for having to put up with me every day, every Wednesday for the last 12 weeks. But hopefully we have helped them validate their idea and turn that into a business and given them a go forward strategy on what it is that they can do to build a company around their initial idea. That approach has a lot of aha moments. There's been a lot of pain. There's been a lot of steps backwards, I guess you would say, as people have looked at their marketplace and said, it's not really what I thought it was. There's always false positives, but that's part of the growth process. That's part of what we want people going through. When they get to the point, they can go, I now have a product that people care about. I solve a problem. So with that, I would like to thank all of the subject matter experts that make this program possible. I can only talk for so long. I run out of my level of experience, so I lean on the community to help us out. So we have just pages and pages of experts that bring forward their talent, again, in those 4 areas of product, operations, revenue, and leadership. They are the ones that are the guest speakers every single week, usually 2 or 3 per week, that bring that subject matter expertise, those entrepreneurial startup journeys, the failures and the successes that they have had to make this program a well-rounded 12-week accelerator program, so that people can learn from their successes and mistakes and build a company based on that collective community experience. So I would like to thank all the people that make this program possible, some of which are on the panel today, some of which are in the audience today, and many that probably couldn't make it, but they consistently come back cohort after cohort to make our community, our tech ecosystem stronger. So thank you again to them. with that, I would like to welcome our panelists. I want to make sure and take a look and see if Andreas has joined us. I don't see him in the audience, so maybe I'm going to have to text him on the side. But with that, we have three subject matter experts that are serving on our panel today. The first is Mark Swanson, who originally helped develop the accelerator program for the Tampa Bay Innovation Center. Mark is a serial entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience and has successfully founded 6 multi-million-dollar companies with 4 exits, averaging 800% ROI for their investors. He is currently a managing director of Lane 5 Ventures, an innovation consulting firm whose projects include working with Fortune 500 companies, startup technology companies, and creating innovation centers for the Department of Defense. Mark started his career with the United States Army, where he commanded 2 military units and was with the first unit of Apache attack helicopters. So Mark, thank you for joining us. Next up is Joy Randalls. Joy is a serial entrepreneur and a technology executive with a passion for launching and building new high growth business ventures. She's launched over 14, I didn't update this, Joy, so I'm assuming it's still 14, and successfully exited 9 of those ventures and helped a number of companies go public. I think she's raised somewhere on the order of $350 million in venture capital, led 17 acquisitions of venture-backed or public companies. And as I said, 2 of those she's IPO'd, which is quite an accomplishment. Joy coaches several female founders and funders, as well as underserved founders in the tech community. She's a published author, keynote speaker on female minority leadership, diversity issues, entrepreneurship, and cybersecurity. She is a thought leader in cybersecurity and an evangelist for that, as one of the original founders of the Neon Temple, which is an organization in Ybor City that is a collective of cybersecurity experts that most people don't know about, but is a true asset to the Tampa Bay region as we grow our experience and our reputation in cybersecurity. She's been featured at Black Hat, Sands, SC Magazine, Wired, Red Herring, CSO Magazine, Information Week, and a number of other publications. So I will now introduce Andreas and hope that he can join us shortly. Andreas began his venture capital career in Sweden with Capital A Partners, where he sourced and analyzed investment deals for that firm. By the age of 25, he became the youngest operating partner of a venture capital firm in the Nordics. Cap A became one of the most successful early stage funds in Europe with 2 IPOs and the $3 billion acquisition of Zynga. Everybody knows Zynga, right? He's a passionate financial professional with a love for technology, data, innovations, and innovations that will shape the future. He is a managing partner at Tampa Bay Ventures, which is a relatively new fund in the area, but one that's already been active in courting and investing in early stage found ups. So I'd like to welcome our 3 panelists, as well as our first speaker. I want to make sure that I get that slide up as well. Our first speaker is Teja Sweeney. She is with Littletown Ventures, and she is going to be talking to us about a product called Cognoscess. Teja Sweeney, please take it away.
Thank you, Ken. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
can you hear you? Fine.
Yes, awesome. All kids develop at different rates. Every child's learning journey is unique due to underlying neuropsychological variations that make them perceive and learn things differently. The NCLT reports that 1 in 5 individuals in the United States have learning and attention issues. That is about 12 million students in elementary and secondary schools. Visual processing deficits are one of the easiest addressable conditions if diagnosed early. Currently, paper-pencil-based tests administered by trained practitioners are used to diagnose these deficits. Such tests lead to inconsistent analysis, testing bias, and at times, misleading diagnosis due to student anxiety. Our solution, Cognoscess, consists of an iOS app that offers students a self-guided game-like interface that minimizes anxiety, an AWS-based backend analytics and reporting mechanism that decodes a child's thought process into a set of performance classifications, and a set of recommendations for remedial action based on the findings in the report. Tracking the progression of thought as a child attempts to solve a visual problem offers fascinating insights into how a child perceives, interprets, and internalizes information. This helps teachers fine-tune their teaching strategies. We developed, tested, and deployed the MVP version of this assessment tool. We also started a software trial with a local franchise of a national learning center in the last quarter. We expect to sign a contract in the first quarter of the new year. We also plan to expand services to more centers in the Tampa Bay region and eventually to corporate headquarters. During this program, we learned to narrow down our target market and identify our early adopters. Our initial target market is the top 10 franchise-based learning centers that accept students with IEPs, as well as private elementary and middle schools that have special education programs. Thank you. I can take any questions at this time.
Thank you to H. Sweeney. Appreciate your presentation. Joy, can you go first with some questions?
Sure. A couple of questions. Is the thought process tracking algorithmic based? Is it algorithm based?
It is a hybrid of algorithm based and machine learning.
Okay. And then how specifically does the product address the testing bias?
So the testing bias is basically eliminated due to not having manual interference in the tests. Also by limiting or by making the assessments age and gender specific, because we do know that there is differences in female and male development rates, especially in early education.
Okay, great.
Mark, any questions?
Yeah, Taswani. I'm interested in your market. I was wondering what exactly is your target market? What is the size of that market, and how do you propose to access that market at scale?
Sure. So right now we are targeting learning centers specifically that accept IEP students. So it's important to know that not all learning centers right now accept students with learning disabilities. We have identified about 10 franchise-based learning centers. So our strategy is to trial with a few learning centers, approach the headquarters, and be able to deploy the software that way. So our immediate focus is the learning centers, and we have identified about 3,500 learning centers within the United States that are within the top 10. Beyond that, there are private schools in special education that specialize in elementary and middle school special education that we will be approaching.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. When in those markets, what is your pricing model for selling your software within the learning centers?
Yes, so we are still figuring the pricing out because this is only our first contract. Our assumptions are based on the current pricing of the paper pencil based tests, where we only have data, specific data on the price of materials. On top of that, we add the price of, say, a school psychologist performing assessments, and we get a lot of input from the learning centers that we are involved with on how much, what the pricing might be for other comparable products that they have at their center. So at this stage right now, it is we deal with every learning center that we are working with, and we get the pricing from their input. Going forward, on a more broader basis, we are looking at signing annual contracts with these centers based on how many students they have coming in or circulating through their system throughout the year.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, Joy?
Not additional questions, but actually I have a suggestion.
Sure.
So one of the things I think you could do with your pricing model would be to basically create a calculator that allows the schools or the learning centers to input their actual cost. I think that will actually help them understand, because it's not you giving them a cost. It will simplify the process for you too, so that you're not having to kind of go through this manual process every time. Literally, it could be something as simple as a spreadsheet with a nice GUI on it that's on the front end that's a hidden part of your website. It could be literally that simple. It could spit out, right, hey, this is what it's costing them today, and a follow-up of how you can save them money. You also get all that input if they're doing it through your website, so you'll be able to compare every single person that comes through that site, and it's going to give you a lot of data to understand how to base your pricing on going forward. It's just a suggestion. I've done it in a different type of market before, and it's pretty effective.
Yes, thank you so much for that suggestion. It does give transparency to the learning centers that use this product, and that's definitely great for tracking pricing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joy. Great suggestion, especially with the difficulties of selling into the education market. So that's a great idea. Mark, anything else?
No, not really. I'm just wondering if you give all the information like to the parents so they can track their own children at the learning center?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So we give the teachers the complete report that includes how the child performed on each individual problem, but that is information that doesn't make it to the parents. What the parents receive is the list of recommendations for therapy. So that, as well as an action tracker where they can track each individual action that they used to make improvements in the child's abilities. So that is what the parents get. They get the recommendations based on the report as well as an action tracker.
That comes right from the application?
Yes.
That's all, Ken.
All right. Tej, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for participating in the program. I see we have Andreas join us on the panel. I guess you'll have to catch up with for the rest of the five companies. So with that, I would like to welcome Chris to the stage, who's going to be talking about his company, Game Drive. Chris, it's all you.
How you doing, everybody? So our platform that we are developing is to pretty much showcase those hidden skills, that talent pool of soft skills, really, for not just the gamers, but also for people in the traditional business world, where they can pretty much show that they are good in certain key areas like collaboration, problem solving, communication, and other skills that fall into the soft skill areas that they can show either looking for a new type of job, a new career path, or to advance their career in the current job market. This will also help out in the ATS systems, or the automatic talent systems, where they're only looking for so-called keywords, where pretty much anybody can hack that system at this point by putting certain keywords in the job for the job requisition. This will pretty much reduce that in the putting in the certain keywords, and actually show the true value into the actual person who is applying for that. Also will help the retention rate of people leaving to go look for another job, with being more rapport with the HR department, meaning they have a more dialogue with the HR in either acquiring that person and or advancing that person into a new career path. We are also outreaching to the HR platforms, so that way we can showcase those hidden soft skills to them, so that way they know who they're looking for that will fit their dynamics for that companies. And best way to do that is also reaching out to the gaming community, because they're actually doing this already with within their community, pretty much. So it's pretty much where they can showcase the skills they've learned in tactics, of course, again, like problem solving, collaboration, communication, and many more skills that also will help out their advancement in so-called the gaming career path. But again, these skills are also transferable into the traditional business world. Right now, we are working on our platform in a wireframe that we can get it to our MVP to the business side, so that way they can test this skill sets out to match with the job requisition. With the gamers, we have testing our platform out right now. But we also want to make sure that we identify those skills value, not just for the gamers, but also for the companies who are looking for their next talent acquisitions.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much. Mark, why don't we start with you this time?
to get unmuted here. Yeah, thanks. Great presentation here. Do you have any like specific traction yet with any customers on this?
Not for the business side. We're still working on grabbing those customers. Right now, we've just been working with, of course, the gamer community, of course, where they can pretty much showcase the skills and whatnot, pretty much for them to have the bragging rights to say that they're the best in the best demographic possible. So if you want to say you are the best Fortnite player in all of St. Pete, you'll be able to showcase those that skill set to your peers and community. We will be working on showcasing those skills that are literally in the traditional business world over to the more career side of it.
And how do you, you know, I can understand how you'd evaluate some of the technical and skills, but what about in terms of like communications and problem solving? How do you quantify that for a recruiter?
So for communication, let's say for that, if they are pretty much a streamer and they pretty much have recordings of their battle plans and whatnot, you can kind of see how they are using that to their advantage for when in the gaming world to win the matches or whatever case may be. And if they, so that information can be monetized, of course, and kind of showcase where like their communication is well put. And if they do like an aftermath meeting, this will show what they are, how to put it, divulging to their peers to hopefully win the next match or so, and if it's whatnot.
Thanks, Chris.
Andreas, do you have any questions for Chris?
Sure. Thanks for the presentation, Chris. One question I had was, who's going to be actually creating the application from your wireframe, and how are you going to integrate some of these skill sets or your metrics into a company's ATS system that they're already using?
So we are looking to have our platform be outsourced, to create it from a wireframe to the MVP, and then once we have some traction, we'll be bringing it in-house to continue improving the platform. We will be looking for integrating into, let's say, Career Builder, Manpower, and whatnot, platforms where they are, where we can pretty much link up the skill sets to either the job recs or to the, let's say, so-called keywords, so that way they can be quantified and valued and measured in a way where you can see somebody who's a little bit more expertise in communication, problem solving, collaboration, and many other skills.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andreas. Joy, do you have any questions for Chris?
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background and who else is on the team.
So my background, I am a gamer as well.
Okay.
So I play a lot of games and actually have improved my career in IT, where I'm a system engineer, to the point where I see the skills more in my technical side of it have improved me, but also have seen, and many of my friends and peers that I play lots of video games and lots of hours with have used video games to improve their skill sets and career advancements that are not technical, let's just say for communication. So they are, or PR perspective. So they've used it for writing, being journalism, and whatnot. So that's where I have talked with many of my gaming peers to kind of bring out this idea, and wanted to make sure that we all can show what we have invested in our time and the skills that we have developed that has improved our career path as well.
Okay, so is the team just you right now?
The team is 3 other members. I have 1 CTO, a CFO, and a operation person right now. So, but we are looking to improve the team and grow the team as well.
Okay, so I get the concept of, you know, EQ meets IQ. I understand that. I think that it's interesting. So then, if you've got a CTO, help me understand why you're outsourcing the development.
This was before my CTO came on board. So we will be transitioning him into developing the platform and getting more structured. So.
Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions, Mark or Andreas?
None from my side.
All right. Thanks, folks. All right. Thank you so much. Chris, thank you so much. And now we'll be transitioning. Our next speaker is Bill from iSocrates, who will be talking about his product, MadTech BI. Bill, take it away.
Great. I've spent the last 25 years innovating at scale in the digital media and marketing industry, and one persistent problem that is yet to be solved for all stakeholders is data and analytic chaos, specifically for publishers, marketers, agencies, and those that enable them, like tech companies. These firms suffer from the kinds of problems that are identified here. So the problems I've just been referring to are right here in the upper left-hand corner. Our platform is designed to meet specific unmet needs of sophisticated digital media and marketing clients who are typical of the larger market our company has served since 2015. So the specific solution that we built is identified right there. And the market that we're serving is the roughly 10,000 largest buyers and sellers of digital media and marketing, and the 5,000 agencies, consultancies, and data and tech companies that support them. As you can see, this market is huge and growing fast. Fortunately, we've had some luck in getting this product to market thus far, early days. We're already generating revenue and are now heads down focused on closing and deploying our next 2 accounts. We also have 2 high-profile channel partners that are already out co-marketing our solutions on our behalf, which is great. The ask that we have is that we're looking for qualified new accounts to put on the platform or to distribute as a channel partner. If you know of a company or agency that spends $1 million a month or more on digital media and marketing, or a publisher who sells or buys $1 million a month or more of digital advertising, we should chat.
Great. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. Andreas, we're going to start with you this time. Any questions for Bill?
Sure. What is your current growth, say on a month-over-month basis or even a quarter-over-quarter basis? Is it from your existing customers or is it mostly from new customers that you've sourced?
I've got 10 current customers that are currently on the platform, but from an incremental revenue, pure SaaS basis, we just launched the product this quarter. So we're at $100,000 from a single account. Currently, the next 2 accounts that we've identified, one is one of the largest broadcast media companies in the world, and the other is a mid-sized independent agency. So I don't want to extrapolate on what the revenue is currently, but we would expect to do somewhere close to $1 million this coming year in recurring revenue just from this one product.
And are there any other tangential products that you'll use this product as a lever to release to those customers?
Not currently. What we'd like to do is to add more features and power to the platform that we've got. It's a very scalable environment where our goal is to get inside these clients and then radiate, getting as many users as possible. The revenue model is one where you've got a platform fee. We're getting per user logins. We've got cloud costs being pushed to the clients, and then there are setup fees and customization to the extent that they need it. So our goal is to try to get as many adoptions as possible within the organizations we're selling into.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Andreas. Joy, you're up next. Any questions for Bill?
Yeah, so actually you've made good progress since I spoke to the group, which is awesome. So I'm happy to see that. I'm familiar with kind of what your model is because it's one that we did before with the company we sold to Akamai. So I'm pretty familiar with kind of how that part works. I would say I have a question and I have a suggestion. So what's your projected revenue per head?
When you say per head, you mean per user?
Nope, I mean per employee. Internal. So how many employees? So let's say if it's $1 million a year, is that 1 employee? Is it 2 employees? Is it 5 employees? And I'm just using that as a round number. I know you're not there yet, but you've got to have something in your head because of what you built with the other company. So there's some math behind it. I'm just kind of trying to get a feel for what that is.
I think it's likely that we probably can get to about $1 million in revenue per dedicated FTE.
Okay. And then is the strategy to do as much as possible through those channel partners because they already have that other organic reach outside of your existing client base?
That's correct. So as an example, one channel partner has distribution in about 75 of the largest digital media publishers in the world. They're going to embed our product into their customer portal.
Mhm.
And then we'll integrate our single sign-on so that we have a carry-along distribution into those accounts. So that's a pretty capital efficient way for us to develop. We've got another channel partner that is introducing us to their clients and prospects where they have a vast sales organization that we can tap.
You should charge for the API fee once you get a little bit of traction under your belt. They'll pay for it.
Okay.
And you didn't need to be enough fee to recover your cost, right? So 25 grand, something like that, they'll pay for it. That really would not be a problem. I would second your decision to not spin off a bunch of other products because we built out our platform very similarly, and we ended up adding a bunch of features that were monthly charge features, some based on user, some flat fee, depending on what it was. But you can gain a significant amount of revenue that way without having to create another new product right off the bat. So it's just my 2 cents.
I think the much of the value that will be created here is if we can get enough accounts, the data that is generated from the data models from a benchmarking standpoint will be extremely valuable. The issue here is just we need penetration to get as many possible players in the industry on this, standardized on it. And then because we're sharing essentially a common data model, from that, good things will happen. But if we don't get deep enough penetration, I think other products would be a distraction for us.
Right. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Joy. Mark, do you have questions for Bill?
Yeah. Hey, Bill. Good. You got a very interesting product here. We're actually looking for stuff like this. I don't know. I'm not sure we're in your target market, but there's a zillion. I think we identified like 15 products that I think would compete with you. There's probably many more. What is your, like, if I was looking for an integration platform for the marketing analytics, what would be the highlight that you would talk about to get me to buy your product?
Probably number one is speed to value. Because we have so many pre-built data connectors and dashboards and scorecards and alerts that are specific for digital media and marketing, it's likely that we can be in business up and running and where the customer is getting value from their purchase very, very quickly. And in many cases, they can get a complete return on investment. Joy had mentioned to Tisha Sweeney about offering a calculator. We put a BI ROI calculator on our website so that it becomes obvious for folks to understand exactly how fast they get a payback. But to answer your question, for us, it's all about speed to value and trying to highlight the pre-built nature of so much of what we've already created.
When you talk about pre-built connectors, these would be things like HubSpot.
Correct. In media, specifically digital media and marketing, there are almost 500 connectors that represent the data sources that users need access to. They don't need all 500, but they're extremely disparate. And getting to the data, wrangling it, making sure that it's consistent and high quality, and in many cases that there are ETL tools and pre-processing, having all that built in, the fact that we've got a pre-deployed data warehouse, that the dashboards are already built by role and function. It's just extremely convenient, much more so than our competitors.
And so that's your primary value proposition that you're highlighting in your own marketing?
It is. In all candor, we've now just done 2 POCs with 2 of the largest media companies in the world, and we have a marketer already up and running as a paid client. And I would love to emphasize the technology But if we did not have our own engineers, I've got about almost 60 employees now. And if I did not have the service side of this to do customization for the clients, that the early clients that we've brought in, I don't know that we would even be where we are now. So I don't think we're a service company. This is clearly a tech business, but part of the value here is that very few of our competitors have the ability or desire to do the customization that many of these larger companies require. And so that so far has been a key selling point.
And are you only for agencies? You don't sell to specific companies? So.
We sell primarily to marketers and to publishers. We will sell to agencies. We're happy to do so. But typically, marketers and publishers have been drawn to this very quickly. On the publisher side, there are not very many companies that have the depth of experience that we do. We've been in business 6.5 years. We operate on 4 continents, running 24-hour-a-day outsourced operations for companies in this industry. And the larger companies, they need the level of experience and specialization that we have. So we've been birthed out of a service company and bootstrapped all along, but this is clearly a SaaS play. And having the opportunity to participate in Ken's accelerator has really allowed us to be able to focus, particularly during this launch period, tightening everything up.
Great, thanks. Very interesting product.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mark. Mark, your audio is still a little bit low. It is either a headset or you just need to lean into the mic a little bit more, if you could, please. Any other questions from Andreas or Joy, the rest of the panel?
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
All right. Bill, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, next, I would like to welcome to the stage Pilar, who is going to be talking about her employee engagement product, Candle AI. Pilar, welcome to the stage.
Today, more people feel lonely and disconnected at work. This is impacting business and talent retention, profits, but primarily it's affecting people's well-being. And now with the growing demand for remote work, leaders are trying to figure out how to keep their teams connected and engaged to adapt to the new work environments. So for them, we created Candle, a SaaS platform that helps organizations with distributed teams build and sustain connection in the workplace while keeping a pulse on engagement. And we do it in a fun way. We provide diverse, quick group activities that your managers or anyone in your organization can simply click, launch, and play to integrate into their team meetings. We're using evidence-based methods from organizational psychology research to improve cohesion and engagement. And our team has deep expertise in organizational psychology, connection, and of course, fun. We have accomplished to launch our MVP. We tested with about 10 groups. We obtained 20 LOIs with paid commitment, and we got one paid manual pilot. Through our journey, we found that Candle is suitable for companies that are fun and that deeply value relationships at work. So if your organization is one of those, please get in touch because I would love to give you a demo. Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar. Appreciate that. Let's see, where are we? Joy, I think we're back to you as the start of the questions.
Okay, so in looking at your slide on traction, is that an implication that Airbnb and Uber are testing your product?
No, right now they're not testing our product. We are testing the product with the smaller groups and startups.
So is that an LOI? I'm just trying to understand when I'm looking at like or is that there to represent something different that I'm just missing?
Yeah, so we've been talking with the heads of people of these organizations, and they've been willing to test the product, the beta of the product when it's stable.
And what is the feedback that you've gotten so far on the product?
So actually, when we show with the first prototype that it was just a clickable prototype, they love it so much that's how we were able to collect the LOIs, because they start saying like, oh, I want to try it right away, and we didn't have a product yet, so we make them sign an LOI.
And is that the paid pilot, is that it's paid, but your delivery is in the future? Is that correct?
The paid pilot, what we did to validate the concept is to run some of the activities with their teams, and then also make the assessments at the end with this company. So they pay for 1 month, so we will test it. Yeah.
Okay, and can you describe the pricing model, revenue model?
Yeah, we're still working on that one, but initially we were evaluating if $10 per person, but it seems that bigger size companies are willing to pay much more for usage, for per user. So we are still evaluating our price model, and we also are gonna have so we have different packages. Right now we are evaluating with companies a higher price package because they want to find activities that address stress management, unconscious bias, diversity, and inclusion. So that's something that we're looking forward to adapting our product.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, you're up next for question, please.
Yeah, I've got I've never heard of the culture as a service market. Can you tell me like what other companies might be in that market?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. This is a concept that Microsoft bring up, like the name of the culture as a service, and it involves organizations that are working with employee engagement platforms. Also, like these platforms that are addressing, for example, live events for your teams, yeah, and also I believe other HR technology.
And how do you bill this service to companies that you're like Intel, Airtable, etc.?
So the platform is automated. So for example, if the organization says, oh, they join the platform, they can click select their values, and then they will see a live library of activities. So they can click on one activity and launch it, and that activity already has the content that is adapted to foster that value or to address the issue that they want to address.
And is it unlimited activities per customer?
Yeah, that's something that we are evaluating in our pricing model to see how many activities we can offer them. However, our technology is very flexible, so we are creating templates that allow us to create multiple activities from one template with different, so one game mechanic using and adapting different content.
Well, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Andreas, you're up next. Do you have any questions for Pilar?
Yeah. So quick question for you, Pilar. How are you measuring employee base engagement?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So right now what we identify is that a lot of the companies are measuring employee engagement once per year or twice per year. And the way it should be done is more like a post check. So we integrate that in our activities. So every time that you plan in your weekly meetings, we have a short assessment at the end where we are evaluating 3 main indicators. We tell you how is your belongingness, trust and openness, and connectedness in your company, as well other questions that depending on the activity. For example, if we're evaluating unconscious bias, we have some questions related to that activity specifically.
And so with a number of other larger, I guess it depends on who your customer is, because it looks like, so after the traction question, it looks like you're going for fairly large enterprises, like Uber, Airtable, Airbnb. And a lot of them utilize an HR system, and most of those HR systems give really preferential pricing to a lot of their own engagement tools. So how do you envision being able to break into the ecosystem and kind of replace some of the maybe not so well built tools, but typically very discounted or nearly free tools that large human capital management providers have?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We've seen that a lot of these companies use, for example, Culture Amp. That is one of the top leaders. And what we are noticing is that this can be a way that it could be like a way to compare with the results that they get also using those tools. But it's still like, I mean, we haven't found like any HR person saying that they wouldn't use it because they're already using this platform. They are seeing it as an enhancement for their teams, especially because the pains that we've been hearing is that, for example, some teams are good at like creating these human connections, but there are others like engineers that really struggle with motivating and engaging their teams. So this is more like an enhancement and a tool that they could use and like compare the data that they have with the tool that they already use with the constant pulse check that we are providing them. And also, thank you, Andreas. And also another thing is that we are also exploring what are other indicators right now that they are interesting that they don't get from those tools, so we can complement that data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Any other questions? All right, Pilar, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank
you. Next on the stage is Chris for Phoenicia South, Medical Records AI and Natural Language project. Chris, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. It wasn't all too long ago when physician and clinician documentation focused heavily on telling a patient's story. In fact, it wasn't uncommon for a physician to narrate a patient encounter into a recording device for later transcription or employ a live scribe. With the advent of electronic health records, medical providers were inundated with checkboxes and other data fields specifically designed for coding and billing needs. Not only did this increase the complexity of documentation, but it also adversely impacted the focus on illustrating a patient's story. In my 11 years in the post-acute industry, I have realized the pendulum has swung too far in the direction of checkboxes, leading to a lack of adequate narrative, which is ultimately dehumanizes the patient. The checkboxes won't be going away. So how do we bring back narrative documentation without continued negative impact to patient care? Well, my intent is to develop analytical tools like what Grammarly does for the writing world, but for a medical professional, ultimately utilizing natural language processing to provide a narrative virtual assistant. Healthcare professional teams would benefit from cues based on the patient's discrete records while documenting information like patient-specific goals. The objective is to achieve alignment and accuracy in the documentation and care of the patient. During the last 6 months, my focus has been on finding the right fit within the healthcare industry. My research in post-acute found a lot of interest, but lack of follow-up as I tested my assumptions and refined my strategy. In the next 6 months, I'm looking to define a segment of acute care, primed for innovation and keen on improving outcomes with new efficiencies. The plan is to continue discussions with industry professionals and target my first 3 to 6 potential customers. Thank you.
Great, Chris. Thank you very much. Mark, you are up as first question this time. Do you have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, I do. In terms of the integration with your product, can you deliver this in solutions like Epic or Cerner?
So that has been one of the most significant hurdles to overcome is just the access to data. So a lot of the development of a product like this requires medical narrative to build the models and iterate upon it. And so lots of times the potential customers that I'm reaching out to don't necessarily have a lot of means to get access to their data within these EMRs. And so that is a significant hurdle and allowed me to kind of take a step back to figure that out. Many EMRs have different platforms on which they run. Some do provide a level of API, but it's not super common. And some are web-based, some are virtualized. So it would take a multitude of ways to get the product in front of the EMR.
Do you have an alternative solution that physicians or doctors might use?
So initially, the goal was to work with the physician or the practice to get in touch with their EMR and sort of go through the process of getting access to their data. I have gone through different thoughts of how to bring an actual product in front of the EMR. Some have been through browser-based plugins, similar to the way Grammarly works. Others would have to be more specific by providing an API to the EMR to develop on.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right, Andreas, you're next up. You have questions for Chris.
Yeah. So how would you be significantly different from somebody who used a product, say like Nuance? And do you think that there's space for both of your products to exist inside of one instance, or are you competitive with them?
Yeah, actually, part of my experience within post-acute is working heavily within the speech-to-text space around NLP. And surprisingly, it's not that well adopted. A lot of people still prefer to type. And really, they're two different products in themselves. So Nuance really is gathering audio and putting down text based on a conversation or just directly via the physician. This would be more in line with tying into the EMR data that belongs to a patient, queuing up specific discrete data elements as the narrative is being written so that they can recall that information. A significant issue that I've seen in the industry and has been reiterated to me over and over is these EMRs don't necessarily provide you the data in the right place at the right time. And so this would be a solution to allow them to potentially take control of their narrative and type it out in a real-time manner with proper data in front of them.
Okay. So realistically, because I know a lot of larger provider systems are really trying to push towards efficiency and trying to have as many of, like, say, the SOAP note process be handled by as many different automated tools as possible. Do you think that you play into that, or would you be mostly targeting smaller providers or single offices?
So the actual market that I'm looking to get into was initially post-acute, just because it was more tied towards at-home care or care outside of a facility. I could see it kind of going both ways. Really, my goal, and thanks to this program, has allowed me to take a step back and not focus so much on the product, but start focusing more on the market and figure out who those early adopters are. And so I could see it going a few different ways. It's just a matter of who is interested in bringing that technology forward. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to work directly with an EMR to bring up as an add-on product. However, I tried to foray into the industry by working directly with providers specifically.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Joy, do you have any questions for Chris?
Yes. So healthcare is not my space, but I actually have quite a few friends and family that are in this space. So have you ever heard of a company called Hillrom?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Hillrom.
I have not, no.
So they bought a company based in Sarasota called Volt, which makes a solution that is actually a transcription service for medical professionals in the hospitals. They had deployed this as an application that was in about 25% of the hospitals in the United States. Hillrom acquired them. I would suggest that might be an in for you as a way to kind of get some additional information, because I've seen that product work, and I think there's some added benefit to kind of what you're talking about doing. The other thing I would, and I actually, the chief medical officer for United Health is a personal friend of mine. If you would be interested in talking to him, I'd be happy to make an introduction. He also happens to be a physician and has actually built out 2 product companies as well before going back and joining United Healthcare as their chief medical officer. He lives out in Sacramento. And there's another market that might be more open to this and maybe a little bit easier in. And that's actually looking at the elder care market, particularly as it relates to like rehab and post-rehab. It's interesting. I was talking to a company out of Tennessee about a different aspect of this market the other day, but the market is massive. And one of the biggest problems that people face today is the children of the people that are in this category now, which are primarily boomers, and they have no intention of ever sacrificing, right, their freedom and their lives and those kind of things. So they're not like the generations before them. But keeping track of them and kind of, the other company was focused on the financial side of it, but the healthcare side of it is another really big part of it. And there are some companies that have put monitoring systems into environments and things like that, but there's not a human aspect to that. And I think that's what you're providing here that's a little bit different, is maybe kind of being that milestone in between so that it doesn't become so, I hate to use the word inhumane, but when my mother passed away, her physician called me that morning and said, "Your mother expired this morning." Those were his exact words to me. So I would call that pretty inhumane at the end of the day. So I think that, there may be something there, and you've got a lot more providers in that space around you here that you could probably gain entry to. Just a thought process there. I think you could expand it a lot of different ways once you are in, but I think it's getting that in is going to be the challenge.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Joy. And it's interesting that you bring the example of your mother up, because one of the significant factors that goes into whether a patient follows their plan of care is whether or not they feel they have empathy from a physician. And if they don't feel like there's empathy in a visit or within the documentation, they're less likely to be compliant and lead to rehospitalizations.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Very good. Thank you, Joy. Any other questions from the panel? All right. Chris, thank you very much. With that, I would like to bring up our final speaker, Alexis with Shota Signals Analytics, Risk Analytics for the FinTech market. Alexis, welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Ken. Large investment firms are concerned with two things: returns and risk. Unfortunately, there are blind spots in their risk analysis, even though the problems are hiding in plain sight. Lack of transparency in the market increases investment risk because of insufficient expertise, the inability to discern risk from misstating reality. Since there are no analytics for truthfulness, and to make matters worse, ESG is hot, new, and completely unstandardized. We have developed a way to look at the data, score it, and generate insights and value. Our Alt Data Analytics platform is a B2B subscription-based scalable SaaS, providing the ability to ingest and analyze public data from the 1980s to present when available. Our proprietary algorithms for corporate filings allow for historical risk scores for modeling. The delivery is by an alt data feed with an API to transfer the results to the investment firms. In part, our accomplishments thus far include: we have a contract with FactSet to be our data provider. We built and refined our algorithms to now include much broader coverage. We partnered with a platform as a service provider who happens to be local. We're in discussions with a leading industry alt data provider to be a partner, and version 1.0 is planned to have the soft launch in Q1 of next year. In closing, I'm really focused on completing and demonstrating the MVP for market proof as a step towards contract. If you're a big investment firm, Shota Scores is in your future. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Alexis. I think we're starting with Andreas a question this time. Andreas, do you have a question for Alexis?
Sure. So when you're speaking about investment firms, could you drill down a little bit more specifically? Is this intended for asset managers? Is this for investment banks? Is this for private equity funds, hedge funds? Who exactly is this used for?
We feel that initially to go after the asset managers with the active investment and to focus on the equities for stock. So
I know from a previous experience that some of these asset managers have, incredibly complicated internal risk modeling, and, they'll be paying, $10 to $50 million a year in salaries for PhDs in data science just to be looking at quantified risk. Mm-hmm. How have you found many of them to be receptive to taking in a different model of risk that you're using? Like, are they using it to supplement the models they're already using, or are you looking to replace some of the work that they're doing?
I don't see that would replace it. This would more be an augment. And the reason is because all of that wonderful analysis that they're doing, the foundational assumption is that what they're analyzing is true and accurate. So you would take our analytics, put that next to it, and get a sense of the truthfulness of the corporate filings. Are they telling the truth in the numbers that they're providing?
And have you had any conversations with large asset management firms to understand if that's a problem that they're facing today?
It is. On the screen, the One Alt Data Partner. This is a large, prestigious firm that services 2,000 investment firms, and they're very excited. We've been speaking with them for 2 years now, since we call it spreadsheet level. This was at spreadsheet level, and we've been talking with them. They've flown down from New York twice to meet with us about this. All they're waiting is for us to finish the MVP, and then that will be available to their 2,000 investment firms.
Okay, but have you had a conversation with any of those asset management firms directly, or just with, because I think Alt Data Partners is a data marketplace, correct?
Correct.
Have you had any conversations with actual asset management firms or investors?
No, not yet. We've focused locally on speaking with wealth management firms. So that was helpful for us to be able to understand that it becomes most useful to them when they have 2 billion assets under management. So we know for sure that the wealth managers want this.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, back to the top of the list. Joy, do you have any questions for Alexis?
Yeah, I mean, I've known Alexis for a while, so I kind of know what they've done in the past. So I understand where this kind of came out of. I do think that how do I say this correctly? I do think asset managers in our local community have one mindset, and that is not necessarily a universal mindset. So to Andreas's point, I think having some of those conversations with people who are not in this geography would be a good idea. Mm-hmm. The other question I have is just give me a little bit of how you're getting to the truth. So I understand the comparison scenario, right? Help me understand like how you're discerning truth from a risk perspective against what, say, for instance, are filings, because if we have filings, then we're really talking about public companies, and right. So help me understand where the truth side comes from.
My background is in forensic accounting, among other of the forensic sciences. So what we're doing is taking a forensic analysis and looking at that and mapping risk against the taxonomy of all of the financial statement fraud schemes. So if an executive, or we know statistically it would be 7 people involved, if they were to commit financial statement fraud, these are the ways that they would do it. And we have a risk score for each one of those.
So you're taking patterns from previous SEC filings and mapping them against this group of data. Is that fairly accurate, or at least at a high level?
Sort of. So we have the taxonomy, which is all of the financial statement fraud schemes, all of the possibilities. Yep. And when we map it against the known historical ones, that's when we're testing the efficacy. So we did that, for example, with the prototyping. We did that very publicly with a regulator in London, and tested against 33,000 known events. And we were able to find 9 out of 10 material misstatements by only looking at the original filings.
Cool. Actually, I think insurance companies might be your best shot, but okay.
I think so. Sure.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Alexis.
Sure.
Okay, Mark, do you have any questions for Alexis?
Yes, I do. Hey, Alexis.
Hey, Mark.
I'm wondering, so the data that you just mentioned is like a where you found 9 out of 10 errors, or I guess fibs, like we could call them. Is that like a back test for stock trading algorithm or something like that?
I'm not sure if you would call it a for stock trading algorithm. So we took over the last 20 years between the United States and the United Kingdom, all of the known historical cases where there were material misstatements, where they had to have a restatement due to fraud or something that could not be classified as accounting changes or mergers and acquisitions, those kinds of things. And we wanted to know, if we only look at the original filings, run our algorithms, can we identify the ones that had material misstatements? And we could find 9 out of 10 of those out of 33,000 doing it blind.
Now, have you ever found out or identified something that wasn't in the past, but it was in statements that existed in a client, like as an example for them?
I have. So I have been working on this for nearly 20 years, just running it in the background, using it myself and in our firm. So I have used this in the past in the investigation side, for example, to run this. I was always afraid that if I was in to do a particular allegation and I had access to all of the data inside the company and all of the people to interview all the documents, what if I was missing something really huge? So I would run this analysis to make sure that I was looking in the right place based on risk. So yes.
Can you make that data better by using, instead of just public data, using internal data, since these are your clients, so they could use it to make sure that no malfeasance is going on within their own companies?
Absolutely. So I think of this in terms of chronology, that you would use this analysis first. So this is the first outside in view to give you a sense of where the risk is. And then once you identify these particular schemes have the highest risk, then you would go into a company if they decided to do that. And if I were to investigate it, for example, then that tells me who has access to commit that kind of fraud, what questions to ask them, what internal data I need, to your point, what tests I need to run on that, what documents I need to review. Everything is driven by the scheme that you think is involved. That's why we felt it was far more important to get the analytics down to the scheme level rather than just answer the question, propensity for fraud, yes, no.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank
Thanks.
you, Alexis.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any other questions from the panel on Alexis's presentation? We actually have a question from the audience from Doug, who's asking, how much do you charge? Which I think he missed the graphic in the left-hand corner. So could you articulate what you charge for this, Alexis?
Sure. So at the firm level, the base scores, we call them SHOTA scores, the base scores are $35,000 per month. It's an annual contract. And that means that anybody inside the firm can use those scores. They just have to remain internal. If you want access to the historical scores because you want to do modeling or you want to do a look back and do different scenarios based on different portfolios, as an example, then that's an extra $10,000 a month flat rate.
Okay, great. Any other questions, panel or otherwise? Not seeing anything. Alexis, thank you very much. I appreciate it. With that, we are going to, well, someone's asking, state Alexis's company name, SHOTA Signals Analytics. Does that answer the question? Okay. With that, I would just like to close with that section of our presentation by saying the success of the companies you've seen here today is not based on their pitch. It is based on their execution and taking those ideas to market. And you, as the community and our audience members, can be a part of that success journey. If one of these solutions appeal to you as a customer, or if you know of anyone, or you can provide more user data for these folks, they're still always doing research. That's one of the things that I stressed during the program, is that research, that connection with users never, ever stops. So if you can help these companies with their user research, potentially as a customer or a connection to a customer, I think it's incumbent upon all of us to help them get to that next level of finding that revenue, finding that product market fit. So if you can, if you need to reach out to me or reach out to them and can help them in any way, shape, or form, please do so. I'd like to close by thanking Pinellas County Economic Development, Tampa Bay Ventures, and our other sponsors that have helped us out, and then transition to something we've never done before, which is an alumni presentation by the companies that have been part of cohorts 1, 2, and 3. So with that, I would like to welcome to the stage James Mitchell from eNotaryLog. James was one of our participants in the very, very first cohort that we did for the B2B Accelerator. And he's going to give us a brief update on what his company does and kind of their progress since they left the accelerator all the way back in early 2020. James, welcome back. Good to see you.
Hey, thank you very much, Ken. And I'd also like to thank all of the panelists that have presented today, including those cohort members, very fascinating companies out there. All right, well, get started here. So hello, everyone. I'm James Mitchell. I'm the co-founder and CEO of eNotaryLog. eNotaryLog is a remote online notarization vendor. We provide easy and secure notarizations over the internet so that our customers no longer have to waste their time or money looking for a notary at a bank or a post office. By using us, they can complete their important documents and get them notarized online and on their own time. We offer our services to both the retail market as well as to organizations and industries with a high volume notarial need. Industries we target include the legal industry, real estate, finance, banking, and many more. One of the actions we took early on as we were researching and developing the idea for this company was to explore what resources were available to us as startups in the Tampa Bay area. That's where we discovered the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, and we joined the cohort to help us plan for introducing our new service, our new product to our target markets. As well, it was a fantastic opportunity to meet other founders and exchange ideas with them. To this day, I can still hear Ken Evans telling us about the importance of product market fit, that not only do you need to know precisely who will be using your product, but you need to really understand what the problem is that they're looking to solve by using your product. And of course, as he will tell you, the best way to find that out is to ask them. We launched our product, our MVP, in January of 2020, and we began our slow uphill battle to educate the markets about the new capability of remote online notarization. Then, of course, the pandemic hit, and suddenly, remote services like ours went from a nice-to-have luxury to a necessary alternative in order to conduct business, especially for those companies that have notarizations as part of their workflow already. Since then, we've been steadily growing our team to scale with the increasing demand we've seen in the US, including international markets for notarizations. We surpassed 30 employees at the start of this year, and I'm happy to say we're on target to hit 50 by the end. Of course, keeping in mind Ken's advice, we at eNotaryLog have maintained an open channel of communication with both our retail and enterprise clients, which has led to an immense amount of invaluable feedback from our clients. And I'm happy to say is going to be part of our iteration for our second version of our platform. And as a byproduct of that, eNotaryLog has gained a reputation among remote online notarization vendors as the leader in customer support and customer service. So with all that said, I'd like again to thank everybody at the Tampa Bay Innovation Center for your mentorship. And I highly recommend their cohort to anybody who is looking to join the entrepreneurial journey. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, James, for the kind words and the update. It is great to see that type of growth, not just in employees, but in the products that you offer and just the general public's awareness of having this as a not nice to have service, but something that really is kind of the next generation of being able to process documents. So with that, I would like to welcome Courtney to the stage. Courtney participated in cohort number 2 of the program, which is forced by the pandemic, was our first fully online. I've never actually met Courtney. I don't think we were entirely virtual at that point, including the showcase. But we all pivoted, we all adapted, and we made it work. Since leaving the program, Courtney Paragon Cyber Solutions has undergone some very significant growth and had some great PR. But with that, I won't take any thunder away from her presentation and thank Courtney for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me back, Ken, and congratulations to the most recent cohort. And Ken, you're right, we haven't met in person, so we definitely need to change that. But good afternoon, everyone. My name is Courtney H. Jackson. I'm the CEO of Paragon Cyber Solutions. We provide cybersecurity services to government contract companies and commercial companies to meet compliance requirements in a streamlined and manageable process. As Ken mentioned, I was a part of the program when we were quarantined last year, but since I graduated in May, my company has experienced a lot of growth. We didn't have any government contracts going into the program, but I'm happy to say that we have a couple now right here at MacDill Air Force Base, SOCOM. We've increased our staffing, grown in revenue and market share. Ken mentioned PR. I'm sure a big part of that is our company being voted the 2021 Tampa Bay NO Tech Madness champions. That was pretty big for us. We beat out over 30 local companies, some of them huge companies that have been around for years. We got the popular vote and we got a lot of support from the community. So definitely appreciate that and feel that the Accelerator program was one way that our company name had gotten out before that contest. One thing Kim mentioned was success being based on execution. I couldn't agree with that more. I use the tools from the Accelerator, expanded on what I learned, continue growing my network, and to this day, continually push to get our name out and expand our customer base. I'd just like to thank everyone at the Tampa Bay Innovation Center. Your program is invaluable and it was a huge stepping stone in taking my company to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. It's been an honor to work with you and watch your team grow and just see the success that you've been able to have, along with many of the other companies that were in cohorts 1 through 3. So thank you again. With that, I'm not sure we have Rosa from Block Spaces on. I know that they had a meeting that was bumping directly up against this, so I think we're probably going to miss that update. I will do a quick update for her because I know that shortly after or toward the end of the program, they were able to raise $1.2 million in their first outside capital round. With that, they have expanded significantly in their staff, and I know that they're still hiring. They were a major sponsor of the blockchain and Bitcoin conference that was 2 weeks ago, and just got a lot of interest for what they're doing, the growth that they're seeing, and also the talent and the other companies that they're drawing into the Tampa Bay region. So I will, that's my short presentation on behalf of Rosa and Gabe at Block Spaces. And if you need to connect with them, they do meetups every week, and they are very, very active on social media. And if you are looking for a job, I know that they're hiring because they blast that out on LinkedIn almost every single week. So with that, I'm going to wrap up the program. For those of you that had questions about contacting the companies that are in the cohort, you can email me directly and I will connect you with that. My email is Evans, EVANSK, @tbinnovates.com. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about the program, if you have questions about this cohort or any of the other participants that have been in the program in the past, or would like to just talk about our curriculum. If you're a potential mentor, if you're a former operator of a startup, we're always looking for people that have that experience to come in and tell the good, the bad, and the ugly about the startup journey. That's what makes this program special. That's what makes this program valuable to the people that go through it. And valuable to me because I get to rely on the experience of a lot of people that we have here in our community. So with that, I would like to announce that we will be starting cohort number 5. The applications will be up on the GUST platform at gust.com. If you go to our website, again, at tbinnovates.com, you will see a link to that. The applications aren't officially open because we haven't announced that yet, but the application is sitting there. And if you are a B2B startup company that is beyond the idea stage that would like to take advantage of this program, or at least discuss taking advantage of this program, happy to hear from you. Either email me directly or fill out that application. We're expecting to start at the end of January or at the very, very beginning of February. It will most likely be an online virtual program again, but if we get all Tampa Bay / St. Pete participants, we may do that live. So it all depends on who applies and how many people apply from inside and outside the region. Luckily for every one of the cohorts except cohort number 1, we've had founders from other places around the country and in some cases, other places around the world. So spreading the good news about what's happening in St. Pete and what's happening in Tampa Bay's ecosystem as far and wide as we can. And I would challenge all the audience members to help us carry that message forward because we're seeing a lot of activity in the area. We're seeing great new things happening, companies and great talent moving to the area, which just helps amplify what we're going to be over the next decade as a ecosystem. So if there are no other questions from the panel, which I know Joy had to jump out, I want to thank everyone for participating today, audience, panelists, and the companies. This has been our 4th cohort, which it just keeps getting more exciting every single time. I want a special shout out and thank you to the companies that participated of enduring the last 12 Wednesdays with me. But I hope it's been a enjoyable journey. I hope it's been an educational journey and one that helps you in the execution going forward. So with that, thank you. We'll be signing off now. And I appreciate everyone's attendance. Take care.